Hello, hello. This is the first episode of Beyond Polite.
Okay, we
I
got
know
a jingle.
and I'm here in Boston, Worcester, Massachusetts, with someone who's super, super dear to my heart, my best friend, Anabella, in the house. Welcome.
Yeah, I'm super happy to be here because I know this is a dream for you. So I'm just happy to see you doing it,
I
right?
know, I'm
So
excited.
I just want us to support her in this new endeavor.
Thank you, my sis. So we're going to talk about all the things of how we became friends, how we met. But most importantly, we are two girlies from Venezuela. And I want to talk about our experience of growing up immigrants in the United States, especially the city where we grew up, and just like get a take on our experiences. Because I feel like we've always joked and we've talked about it like bits and pieces of our story, but now we're a little bit older and I'm always wondering like, what was your perspective? Like, what was your experience? First of all, for those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself, but mostly like, let's just start like what you do now because it's so legit and it's so
Okay.
cool. Y después we'll go a little bit, we'll go back to like how we got here.
Yeah, so I guess, now my official title is Associate Director for Community Engagement at Harvard University Community Campus Life, which is an office that works with the president of Harvard to really think about how do we build a community where everyone feels like they belong, where everyone feels like they can thrive. Harvard can be a really amazing place, but also a really intimidating place.
Yeah.
And so I really try, like our office really tries to kind of break down those barriers for people. Think about places where somebody might not be participating fully because they can't bring their full self to campus, and how can we remedy that, right? So whether it's community events, block parties, conferences that give staff the tools to be more welcoming, be more grounded, be more culturally relevant, whatever that might be, right? So yeah, so that's my job, and I get to do a little bit of everything, mostly event planning, but sometimes I get to have cool experiences with students at Harvard.
Also, like, let's say that again. In Harvard.
In Harvard.
In Harvard. Like, you work at Harvard, my sis. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, and I know we've talked about that and we like downplay it a little bit or like whatever. And I'm like, that is so big and that is so legit.
Well, I think I've normalized it, which is, not a good thing. I don't think it's necessarily good that I've normalized it. But I do realize, when I move out of that space, when I'm not on campus or I'm like not talking to people that graduated from Harvard or work there, yeah, it is a big deal. It's a big deal, and it does have a level of impact on what happens in the field, right? So I work in higher education, colleges and universities, and like what happens at Harvard does have an impact in other schools. I've worked at other schools where it's like, they're always like, well, what's Harvard doing? And then they try to do whatever Harvard's doing. So I do think it's a responsibility in some ways.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So, no, I love that. That's why I wanted you all to know what she does right now because it's very, very important. But now let's go back. How did we meet?
What I remember is we met in chorus.
Class.
So we were
Mr.
choir
Frank, if you ever
ladies.
see this, hi, Frankie.
Frankie. Oh my God. I
Mr.
love
Franks was our
Frankie.
chorus teacher.
Yes, he was amazing.
And he was amazing and we had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a funny thing. So Anabella's one of those friends, there's memes about that. It's like the same year or maybe like 1 year older.
Okay, I know where you're going.
And then she's like, that's why she became like my sis, like my mentor, my thing. And I'm like, wait, we're the same age. It's just like she is school year. I think because of our birthdays, you are a school year ahead of me.
But it's ridiculous because you are I'm like the youngest in my year, meaning like I'm a year ahead of you, but
right.
In my year, I was always the youngest one. And in your year, you're probably usually the oldest one because your birthday's at the beginning of the school year in November.
I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah, and I was a sophomore.
And she was a sophomore. And in the school that we went to, it was so big. The high school was so big that the freshmen went to a place called the Annex. Like, honestly, it's like a little prison. It's like,
and honestly, it looked exactly what it sounds like.
The Annex.
It was like a land filled with portables. Like literally portables.
No, like trailers. Like the classrooms
like
were
a trailer
trailers.
park.
Yeah.
Like a trailer park.
Trailer
And there
park.
was not a ton of pavement. So it
My
was like
gosh.
probably like a violation of some law.
100%. It was not up to code. It was not up to code, that's for sure. When did you get to the United States? What year? How was it? You come with your entire family. What was that like? Like, I just want to know, like, your experience. What was it like?
Yeah. Well, I think so we moved here in the year 2000.
Okay.
Like pretty shortly after Chavez was elected, like maybe only a couple years after he was elected. And my dad actually was exploring Spain or the US.
Wow.
So we went on a trip to Spain as a family to like scope out like schools, apartments, cities. Yeah, no, it was like a close thing.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And because he thought, well, in Spain, like they don't have to learn a new language. And, my grandpa's from Spain. So like the immigration thing's a little easier. And, but he didn't like what he saw for like the life of young people in Spain. Like
okay.
he felt like there was like a lot of like partying and drugs and whatever. And maybe it was just a misconception, but that's what he felt. And he loved that in the United States, he loved the educational system here.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you could do well in school and then get a scholarship and go to a university.
Yeah.
We ultimately decided for the U.S.
Oh, God.
He came here like 3 months before we came here just to like get a car, get like all those things, And then he went back home to get us.
No, my dad did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah, and which like I think about my mom, like just like alone with us, like thinking about the fact that you're moving to another country. Like now that I'm older, I think about her a lot. And I think about my dad too, obviously. But the thing is, we were the first ones in our family.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not like we had someone that was like gonna receive us.
No,
or
same.
like
yeah, you come here like alone. Like
we're literally the first ones. I think my dad did a really good job because I was 8 years old. He made it seem magical. So he was like, we're gonna move closer to Mickey. And
wait, my dad did the same thing, pero que mentiroso, because we were so far. Like, you're like a 4-hour drive for Magic Kingdom. Y era como que vamos a ver a Mickey.
Yeah, vamos a ver a Mickey. We moved to a condo, like a luxury apartment building thing that had like a pool and a tennis court. And he was like, and we're gonna live in like something that feels like a resort. And he just made it like a positive experience. And then of course, like we couldn't pack a lot of things.
That's so wild.
And so we had this box that we kept putting stuff in, and he kept saying, "Oh, don't worry, like in a month the box is going to get to the US. So you have to put the things that you could let go of for like a month, 2 months, or 3 months. So it's like if you really don't like the Barbie because you're not going to play with it right away, then maybe put it in the box." Talk about the box. Never. The box never got here, which is so sad now that I think about it. But it was his way of getting us to prioritize. What are we going to take,
Wow.
But he made it like a positive experience.
That's amazing.
We left on the day of his birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was
so
his
wild.
birthday. And it's so weird I've never had this feeling ever, except like maybe when I studied abroad, but it's not the same feeling. It's so weird to get on a plane that is a one-way plane.
Okay, I'm gonna cry.
No, it is. It's like, it's so weird. And
But did you know, we're talking about you're 8 years old at the time, because see, that's something I've had to process, and I haven't done a lot of processing of like my immigration story. Did you know at the time as an 8-year-old, did you understand what you were doing? Like, did you process and comprehend that one way that you were never coming back to Venezuela? You're a child.
I don't think I comprehended. I don't think I processed the grief of it. Like the sense of loss.
Yeah, which I think that comes later.
I did, which comes later.
Yeah, I feel like I've been doing this now.
Like still now.
Yeah, like
I think being an immigrant is like a quintessential experience of like experiencing grief all the time.
Yeah. You came when you were an 8-year-old like
kid.
You're, and you never healed that. Like you were uprooted from the country you were born in, the language that you spoke, your family, because just like you guys, it was we didn't know anyone,
and we were so tight knit with my family in Venezuela.
Same,
every Sunday, we would, with both sides, like my dad's side, my mom's side,
fiesta, holidays,
todo.
Everything changed. It's so foreign. So that's why I was just saying, when you bring up that like one way, which is Oof, te lo juro, I got goosebumps, but I'm just like, did you really know at that moment? Like,
I did have a sense of sadness, right? Because there are two people in particular. I have a younger cousin named Ana Maria, and I was like I'm still super close to her. They eventually came like maybe 2 years after we were
okay.
here. And I just remember how hard she cried because she knew she wasn't going to see me again for a while.
Wow.
So I remember Ana Maria, and then I remember like I'm really close to Ana. She's like a part of our family. She like raised my mom. She raised us. She's like a part of our family. And I saw Ana every day. You know, she picked me up from school. She made my snacks. She like essentially raised me, and she's my godmother. And it's like it was like, so those two figures, I think I felt sadness about.
Yeah.
But I don't think I fully realized it until we had been here for a while,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, I miss my grandma, and I miss and again, we were the first ones, but so many people moved after us.
Yes.
So it felt exciting every time it was like,
Mm-hmm.
no sé, my dad would say, you know, tu tía Florangel está pensando en venirse.
Yeah.
Your aunt's thinking of moving here, and then it would get exciting. Like, oh my God, like we're going to have another person here.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like the village was kind of growing. I remember certain things very specifically about that day.
Really?
You know, I remember, and I shared this earlier today, but like driving Miami Airport, those palm trees,
Mm-hmm.
it's like an art. And I just remember like, oh my God.
Like when you landed and you
yes.
came out.
I remember the heat. It was July in
Mhm.
Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
Oh my gosh.
I remember that we got to the apartment that my dad had already signed the lease on, and there was nothing, no furniture. There was like 2 inflatable mattresses, 2 queen mattresses, one for my parents, one for me and my brother. And we ordered Little Caesars pizza. It
If
was like,
you know,
if you
Little
know, you know.
Caesars. If you know, you know. Little Caesars. Te amamos. If you can sponsor this podcast, please, because if you know, you know.
It used to be like $5, like the large box.
$5. No, I know.
And so we ate Little Caesar, and we didn't have like, you know, nothing. We had nothing. We had nothing. I remember my mom going to buy some things. You know, I remember very distinct
Wow.
things.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought the apartment was so beautiful. Like there was a sense of wonder for sure.
Yeah.
And then I feel like it also really shaped of course, my extended family has always been very important. But I think because we moved here and we were the first ones, I've always been really close with like my nuclear family.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always felt like los cuatro.
Yeah.
The 4 of us, like always like tiki tiki tiki.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of that. It's because we had like a whole year where it was literally just us.
Yeah.
And so I just remember que era como que estamos los 4, so we're fine, you know, because estamos los 4. So yeah, but I do think back to it a lot, about my mom and how she felt, about my dad and how he felt, you know, but yeah.
And you started, what school grade did you start when you came in?
It was 3rd grade.
Yes.
Yeah, it was 3rd grade.
Do you remember anything about like being a 3rd grader starting? Did you know any English?
I
like
do.
What can you take me back to that time?
This is crazy. So, I remember my 3rd grade teacher. Her name was Miss DiBiase. She was Boricua. She was Puerto Riqueña, but I don't think her Spanish was like super good. Like she was like, she had grown up here kind of thing. It was an ESL class. We called it ESOL. English. It is. It's just English as a second language. There's no O in there. So like, and most of the kids were Latinos. Of course, because we moved in July, I started when the school year started, which was perfect because I didn't feel like left out, you know? I remember there was a little girl who was Asian, and I just felt so bad for her because like we all talked in Spanish, and you know, she didn't have that. So I really got close to her.
That's sweet.
I got close to this Colombian girl that lived in my neighborhood.
I love that.
I don't remember her name, but it was like her and her mom was a single mom.
A single mom who works 2 jobs. Wow, yes.
And dude, the funniest thing, because she was a single mom, her and my mom really connected about like helping the kids. So like they did like the carpool thing, like you take them, I take, you know, they did that. And she was Colombian, like paisa, like
Yeah.
super heavy accent. And I remember one time my dad was the one doing the pickup duty and not my mom. And he said something like, no, es que quieres que te dé la cola. Like, do you want me to give you a ride?
Of
When in
course.
Venezuela, we say, do you want me to give you a ride? It translates like, do you want me to give you your tail? Like,
Yeah, the back, like
yeah,
the back
your
of
butt.
your
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah,
Mhm.
basically. And she was so scandalized.
Also, your dad is so
My
proper.
dad, my dad
if
is
you
like
were
a
to
little
me,
gentleman.
so proper. He's like,
A little
¿Quieres que te dé una
mustache.
cola? And she's like,
"Quieres que te dé la cola?" And she was like, oh my God. Like, no. And
oh
she
my
was
gosh,
so
that's so funny.
scandalized. So yeah, I remember those people. Yeah, I can't remember much about like, I remember this book called phonics. Did you have phonics?
Yes. Reading phonics or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
I
It was
don't
like
know.
phonetic stuff. And then yeah, I was learning English,
Right. Did you know anything?
but okay, so
Because like I knew nothing.
I told this story at work and people thought it was hilarious. I went to a school in Venezuela that was German because my
Oh,
parents
wow.
did not want to put me in a Catholic school. They
That
had
served
like beef with the
nothing.
Catholic Church, which is hilarious because then I studied theology. German is very similar to English. It's the same root.
Okay.
But I had not reached the level where you start learning English. Like in that school, you learn Spanish is obviously constant. Then you start with German.
Yeah.
And then in 4th grade, you get to English. And then in like 7th grade or 8th grade, you get to French.
Oh, wow.
So by the time you graduate, you know like 4 languages, right? So my brother had gotten to English. So he had 2 years of English instruction.
Okay.
I had not gotten to English. I'd only done German. And so I would confuse the German with the English.
Here in the United States.
Like, the
okay.
only 2 words I remember are guten Nacht, which is good night.
Okay.
Which, like, that sounds
Good. Oh.
And then danke. What do you think that is?
Thank you.
Thank
Oh.
Yeah.
O sea, no German.
So all the time, and the
Ay,
teacher was
Anabella, y en Weston.
en Weston como una estúpida. O sea,
Disculpa, en Weston diciendo danke. Gunanga.
o sea, la corona te va. Yo alemana en Venezuela.
Se cerró. O sea, mamita, tú viniste del Cerro Ávila, así que gundangue, gundangue. Oh my God.
So the teacher was like, she basically told my mom, like, she's got to let this go, you know? Like, she can't keep learning German. Like, she's got to choose one.
That is so wild. Do you remember how you learned English?
No.
People ask me that all the time. Also, a question I hate. I don't know if you hate it, but people ask me, do you think in English or Spanish? Do you
hate
get that
question.
Who asked that question? Please stop asking that.
I don't like it because
the fact that I can even like remember my thoughts or think at all.
Well,
then,
also thoughts are complex, right?
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes I think in English, like I will be honest, when it comes to work, when it comes to like politics or like heavy analytical subjects, I think in English.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like my college schooling and
yeah,
like was here. But emotions,
that's
family
stuff.
Spanish. I know. So I guess I think in
Wow.
Spanglish. I don't know.
What do you feel like shaped you as an immigrant growing up in Weston? Like, how do you feel like, again, you were different than did you feel different than other kids growing up? Or did you ever get to that point?
Not quite.
Because see, I got to that point
didn't.
eventually, more like in middle school, that I was like relinquished. I was like, I need to be white. I want to be white.
I never had that.
You did? Okay.
Thank God. Well, I never had to negotiate my identity. You know, like
I wonder why that was for me. No sé.
I didn't. I didn't really have a lot of friends that were not Latinos.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I had a little bit of that in
Like
high school, like in chorus.
Okay.
Because in chorus we were the minority for sure.
For sure.
And I think people saw us as like the 2 Latina girl. And like
that we
sometimes
were that stereotype.
I wanted to be like a little bit more in like the in crowd, you know? No, I didn't feel that until I moved to Boston.
Okay.
Which is to me is when I moved to the United States. Because I'm like, Florida did not feel like the United States.
Growing up in South Florida is not growing up in the United States. When you move out of South Florida, you enter, there's a culture shock. You're like, oh, estos son los Estados Unidos de América.
Exacto. And I don't know if this happened to you, but in Weston, there were so many Latinos from different countries, particularly South America.
Yes.
There was Peru, there was Colombia, there was Argentina, Brazil.
Mhm.
And I always identified as Venezuelan.
Mhm.
Like, I was always like, yo soy venezolana. When I moved to Boston.
Oh my God, where were you from? Venezuelan.
No, soy Latina. Because when I said Venezuela, they were like, I'm Minnesota. You know, like, I'm from Venezuela. Minnesota? I'm like,
no, it's not Minnesota,
sweetie.
Venezuela.
And then they're like, oh, Venezuela. Zuela. I'm like, Venezuela. You've never heard people say that? No,
But no,
everyone up here is like, Venezuela? And I'm like, oh my God.
But yeah, did you ever feel like you were living between two cultures? And I guess even still, like, I guess as a child, but now.
I do feel that.
Do you feel it like when you're like
child,
growing up?
I started feeling it. I'm not a child, but like a teenager. I started feeling it a little bit more as a teenager because my brother and I got really comfortable speaking English, and we knew my mom didn't speak English.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we wanted to talk about something we didn't want her to know, we would speak in English, and she would constantly be like,
"En la casa se habla español."
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that she had that posture because it's the reason why I still have really good Spanish.
Now I am so grateful for that.
Me too.
Because again, I went through that little phase where I thought I was like, I wanted to, and I don't think it was me trying to be white. It was just like me trying, I'm young and trying to adapt to those both cultures. Of course. And then you start noticing that you are different. Like, especially again, which I want to kind of next, growing up in Weston, like what Weston was, like how different it was because there were so many cultures and diversity. It was so diverse.
I mean, our school, I looked this up later because when I was studying my master's in education, I had an assignment about like the demographics of the school I went to.
Oh my gosh, tell me about that.
It was like almost 50% Latino.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and we weren't even in South Florida. Like, we weren't in Miami. It's a city closer to the Fort Lauderdale area, I would say. And I just remember, and you said this earlier, like we didn't have to compromise. Like we would, like, of course, we spoke English and had our English-speaking friends. And then it was like las fiestas y las reuniones. And then you're very Spanglish. Like it just felt like so comfortable.
Yeah. And like my mom would pack like an arepa for lunch.
And that was
nobody
normal.
would bat an eye and be like, what is that? And
my lunch to school consisted of empanadas in aluminum foil.
Yeah.
Everybody was eating their empanadas and eventually like, okay, a bagel and a pizza roll here and there, but it was so normal.
It was. You didn't have to explain. We were talking about this earlier that we love to listen to like Cani Garcia and Laura Pausini. And when people at work are like, what do you listen to? I'm like, the only thing I can say that they would recognize is Bad Bunny. Like, honestly, they'll recognize Bad Bunny. But like if I said Cani Rawayana, they would have no idea.
No.
But same thing, like in Cyprus, we would listen to like Ricardo Arjona and like, all these things. And like people knew those songs.
But I love that you didn't have to explain yourself.
No,
and
you didn't.
I catch myself explaining myself
a lot.
Oh, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. It's exhausting.
Which again, I think that I take it again as a lot of pride and honor. It's just I feel
there's that grief that I mentioned, right?
Yeah, it's just such a tension. It's such a thin line of no somos de allá, no somos de acá, the Spanish, and I love it, but then the English is like, where do you fit in? Where do you belong? So I can't even imagine, like, I don't think our baby kids' brains were processing that growing up.
No, not at all. I think I've done a lot of that processing later on in life. And then you haven't had the experience of going back to Venezuela, which I'm sure will be, really meaningful when you get to do that.
I think I will literally
But I did get the experience of going back to Venezuela when I was 20 years old.
Wow.
So 12 years later.
Oh my gosh.
And it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It was also hard because
in what sense?
You recognize that like
I know I'm gonna cry.
No, like the place that is home doesn't really feel like home because the people are not there, So like my grandma wasn't there. So it's just like, or like my cousins weren't there. They're now in Miami. So like technically you would think that it feels like home because we're in Miami together, but it doesn't. Mm-hmm. It's like there's this separation between the place and the people. And I don't know, you just can't cover it, right? And like I do think there's a sense of nostalgia. So it was hard and it was beautiful. It was so beautiful to be like, wow, this is my country. But it was also hard to like how difficult it was to fly there. I had to go through like Aruba. You
Mm,
know, it was
yeah.
just like todos los trámites, like getting my cédula, getting this, getting that. Everything
Yeah.
was such a hassle, and it was like,
No, honestly, like I
why can't I
can't.
just like be here and enjoy it and like go to my grandma's house and
And that is another thing that we've
have a
talked
meal with my
about.
cousins and
It's a,
like
yeah, and that is another layer of which again, we love all Latinos, but especially what's happening in Venezuela and everything that has happened, there is an added layer of, I feel like a lot of people who are immigrants have honestly a very well balanced and beautiful experience to go back and forth to
absolutely.
where they're from. We have another
I
really
mean,
great friend,
my husband's
Ipati White,
yeah.
one of our, great friends, and your husband, they're from El Salvador and they go
Mm.
back, like it's very normal.
Yeah, his aunt passed away, or his uncle passed away. Well, both of them actually, unfortunately. And his mom, within a day, was able to go.
Yeah, and see, like that's
And like my
unfathom,
dad
like
couldn't do that when his own mom passed away.
yeah.
He couldn't go. And like there's just
So it just
there's a
adds an
layer.
extra barrier of you trying to connect to where you're from and like where you were born. But that's why my question is for you, when somebody's like, when you think of home, what is home for you? Where is home for you? Do you say Weston? Do you say
No, it's changed so much over the years.
Yeah. Because I guess now, I mean, you've lived in Boston like long enough.
This
but,
feels
we're-
like home now.
Yeah. Or when I guess I'd say where you're from. See, it's that question.
Yeah, and I do find myself, depending on who asks and where they ask and how much time I have,
Yeah. If you have the energy.
thinking about the answer,
That is so crazy.
right?
What is something only immigrant kids would understand?
Okay, well, I think translating for your parents. And it can be funny, right? Like, why am I handling your bank statements at like
No.
9 years old? But when you think about it,
No.
it's actually really sad.
To have a doctor's appointment until and forever.
To this
you
day.
become a translator.
To this day, my mom, thank God she's responding really well to treatment, but she's going through cancer. And to this day,
Mm-hmm.
the moment we found out about her diagnosis, besides I need to be there for her when she's going through chemo, I was like, I need to be there to translate for the doctor.
Yeah. Which that is so wild. That is your responsibility.
Tuesday,
It's not
every Tuesday I go, well, now her treatment has changed to every 3 weeks, but for 3 months, every Tuesday I would take the day off work.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me a flex 4-day schedule. Thank God. Thank you, Harvard. And I would go translate.
Maybe correct me. How would I say? Is it a burden? It's not a burden. I don't know how to. Sometimes
Sometimes it is a burden.
Sometimes it is. Like I do get annoyed and frustrated. It's one of those things. Like again, that tension and that balance of like, oh my gosh.
You know why it's a burden though, more than the translating? I think it's a burden because it exposes you to things about your parents you shouldn't know. Like when I was young, I shouldn't know that, like, if you give me access to your bank accounts because we need to call your bank about something, and I'm seeing your account balance, I have a sense of how we're doing financially.
Yeah, and you're a kid.
And that is anxiety producing.
Yeah.
So I think that the reason why I felt like a burden wasn't necessarily the act of translating. It was the fact that, like, translating also implies that you have a window into the
information
thing that's happening, right?
Yeah. That, like, parents should be the ones worrying about, taking care of. And in a way, that's why I feel, and again, we're not speaking, everyone's experience, because a lot of, I guess we're just saying like our parents and like our experience of
and I would say, but most immigrant people I know,
for sure,
that's their experience. My husband is constantly translating for his parents.
Because I'm saying there's a lot of people that come in, their parents maybe know, like, adapted to the language and knew English for some reason, like, some parents just didn't or don't, and this is like a job that you have to do forever. No, honestly, the translate. Wow, that was deep.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
That is deep.
I'm trying to think. I think
no, honestly, like no. And to be funny, la chancla. But again, we always talk about it, how your mom was so classy, but like my mom, like, no, they were hitting kids. Like those things are very stereotypical that you hear about, and it's like, actually no, we still live like that. Like I remember my mom, she would till it, like, I was gonna say
there was
definitely
a level of discipline that I don't see with
no,
people
no.
from the U.S. And
No.
not to stereotype, but I really don't see it. And I would say it's all immigrant kids, not just Latinos.
No.
Because my sister-in-law is from China.
Okay.
And she goes through the same. So she translates for her parents. Her parents are super strict. It's
Yeah.
like, and it's like, you know how Marcelo does this thing where
No,
we love Marcelo.
We
Marcelo
love you. Wait, but Marcelo Hernández
from
no,
SNL.
no, ese que sale Marcelo de Weston. We're like, no, we're not talking about you.
From SNL. From
SNL, like, we love your special.
He always does the story about how, like, when he complains about something, his mom is like, and I came from Cuba and I sacrificed my whole life for you to be here. And I think immigrant kids get that a lot from their parents.
Oh, you're guilt tripped. You're guilt tripped.
Yeah, I remember when this is like, now I'm like, oh, that's pretty messed up. But when I was in college and my dad didn't want me to go out partying, he was like, if you get a DUI, because you like had one beer, which I'm like, you can't even get a DUI from one beer, and you drive, it's like they're going to deport us all. Like,
that is
our entire immigration process
depended
is jeopardized on you drinking a beer at a tailgate, which is like the most drunkenly experience ever. Of
course.
So, you know, I think
with your Four Loco.
With my Four Loco. No, yeah. So I just feel like immigrant kids we do such a high standard from your parents because the stakes for them are so high. It's like, we came here for your education.
Which that's why it kind of leads into, you know, like something that your parents, not that they thought was normal, or maybe we grew up, you know, thinking it's normal. And then you're like, that is not normal. That responsibility and that burden, and that, you know, it is very different going up immigrant where you have to grow up quick.
Very quick. And I don't know if you got this a lot in your 20s, but when I started working in my 20s, you know, you start working, you're like 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then your colleagues are like, you're so mature for your age.
I'm like, Papa, we've been working since we were 16 en Arepas Magnet. O sea, what do you think?
Yeah, I got that a lot, and it was like, yeah,
because you had to help out.
You get parentified.
Yeah. Everybody has it so different. You have to help out. Like, not everybody is super rich, like as immigrants, and that was something different. You know, growing up, like I did have that. I did remember, like, you know, and our parents were working, but it's just like a lot of people don't know. Like, when you do immigrate, you might not be able to keep the same career that, you know, there's people that were lawyers and doctors and dentists.
I was a doctor.
So she was a doctor. Like,
my dad was an engineer. Yeah, and it's like whole careers, you know.
No, and that's why you come here and they just have to do, you know, anything that kind of pays the bills.
She worked in like a carrito, like in a little cart in the
mall. I remember. Yeah, my mom was a nanny, a cleaning lady, preschool teacher.
Everything. They did newspapers at one point.
Did newspapers?
Like they would hand out, like they.
Como que Penelope Bridges.
No, literally, like Lady Whistle. No, they.
Your mom was. They did. But who's that? They did newspapers, and I'm like, wait, your mom was Lady Whistle.
No, this is sad. They needed more money, and they worked for the. It wasn't the Miami Herald, but whatever newspaper. I was going to say, wow. And they would go to the printing press, they would get these packets and put them in the trunk of the car.
Wow.
My dad drove and my mom just threw it at.
And this is an engineer and a doctor coming to the United States of America. And it's like, okay, we got to throw newspapers out.
Newspapers because we need more than what our mall jobs are giving us. They did. This one was funny, actually. This one's funny. They did extras for novelas.
This is not funny, and this is real.
This is real. So my dad found someone that worked for Telemundo, and he was like, we need extras for novela. And mind you, some jobs you don't take, and then some jobs you take. Like, you know, the Caso Cerrado stuff, I would not take that. That will ruin your reputation for the rest of your life. But, you know, we were in this novela, and it was like $150 per person.
$?
$dollars.
Pero chica, era un actor.
For like the shift. And it depended on how long the scene took. The scene might take 3 hours. It might only take an hour. And he would sometimes take me and my brother if it was on the weekend.
Okay.
Because then you get me, my mom, my brother, and me. Like him, my mom, my brother, and me. It's $600.
Wait, so you were an extra in a novela?
Yeah.
Well, like Gata Salvaje.
No, it was called something like Hermano Rico, Hermano Pobre, something like that.
Coño, no, pero eres famosa.
Chama, no, mi papá está en una cena con Lupita Ferrer. No, te lo juro. Y mi nora lo llamó y que Gerardo, tú estás en la televisión con Lupita Ferrer.
No, pero eso hay que conseguirlo. ¿Tú crees que lo podemos conseguir en YouTube?
A lo mejor lo podemos conseguir. But yeah, so he took us and he literally picked me up from like a little party. Like, you know those garage parties at Weston?
That was another thing. Pero
Yeah.
bueno, for another, garage
So he
parties.
picked me up at the garage party, and we had empty. It was a scene in the airport. We had to go to the Fort Lauderdale airport at 1 a.m.
Oh my
1
gosh,
a.m.
1 a.m.
So he picked me up at the party at like 11. We like
Because you were going to be part of the scene.
Yeah. And we went with empty suitcases. empty suitcases.
I love
And we walked through the airport, and you just like literally just holding your, and you're like, el vuelo, you know, like you're like pretending you're running to the flight. And literally do that over and 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 over again.
Y Lupita Ferrer was there in this one, or no?
No, Lupita Ferrer wasn't there. But you know, the makeup crew, like all of it, they had like catering, so you would get a meal out of it. Not that you wanted to take it at 2 a.m., but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, we did that.
You got paid for that. I love that.
Oh, we got paid for that. He did get further up. Like one day there was a doctor.
Marico said darle Oscars. Like he got further up, like he got a lead role.
No, because one day the doctor didn't show up. The guy that was playing the doctor didn't show up.
So
and they, you know, my dad with his little mustache, like older gentleman, whatever. And they're like, "You look like a doctor. Like, can you try this like white robe on?"
Did he have lines?
And he had a line that was like, "Lamento decirle," you know, like something.
I need to put a picture of your dad.
No, but then this is so sad. The doctor showed up, and they filmed a take with the doctor.
And they cut that out. No.
Yeah, but he did do the Lupita Ferrer thing. It was a wedding. It was the last episode. Everyone was there.
La boda, siempre la boda. The final episode of la boda.
He went to like a house in Miami with like a pool, like the venue with like su corbatica, like just dressed up. No,
so these things jobs. You do. No, you do anything. You have to take anything to raise your kids and make them have a comfortable life. And
so, but it's, you know, now I think about it and I'm like, oh my God, like I have a career. I have an established career. And I think about like, oh my God, they gave that up.
Yeah.
You know, like they couldn't
it's
practice that here. And the older I get, the more I feel the need to hold on to it. Like not let it go. So like, for example, like in Venezuela, we do this thing, we do hallacas in December. And like, we never did hallacas in Venezuela. My grandma did hallacas, but like we didn't do hallacas.
I get what you're saying.
And then like 4 years ago, I was like, we're making hallacas.
Yeah.
And it's a tradition. I'm making it a tradition from now on. Yeah. And I do it every year.
I think it's just, you just want to feel more rooted. And
I do, and I don't want to lose it. And
it's like little bits and pieces, because the more that the years pass and the more that we're not back, you know, where you were born, you could start losing all those traditions.
I don't want to lose it.
And I do feel like you, same, like the growing up, you know, sí, las gaitas y las cosas. And it's just like los pequeños, I don't know, the little things. And it's like I'm trying to hold on to anything. It's almost like a memory that I don't want to let go. Because it is that search of like, wait, like that is actually legit, like where we were born. That is home, and I don't want to lose sight of that. And it is hard when you're living.
I want to reclaim it. I want to make sure it's like at the center of my life. I want to make sure that I raise my kids with an awareness of it. And I think because we can't go there, then, you know, you think about that a lot. You're like, okay, well, I won't be able to take my kids to Venezuela. I hope I will, but, you know, it might not be an option. So I have to show them here.
Yeah. No, I love that. And just, you know, wrapping up and in general, like, what do you think, what parts of the experience of being an immigrant, like, are you proud of? Like, what makes you proud?
Oh my God. I mean, I want to say everything, but I think it's the fact that we didn't have a manual. Like, we didn't have a guide, you know, like it's a little bit similar to like first generation students, the first ones in their family to go to college. It's like, yeah, we're like the first ones in our family to do this. But actually the funny thing is we're not. Like in my case, my grandparents were immigrants. My mom and my dad are immigrants. I'm an immigrant. Everyone in my lineage is an immigrant. But it's like we just figured it out. Yeah. And there's so much resilience and there's so much ingenuity. Yeah. And I'm really proud of that. I don't know. I'm really proud of, it's like we made this beautiful thing with like nothing, you know? So I'm really, really proud of that.
I love that. Also, I want you to I want you to read what you read this morning of your story of self. She spoke this morning to first generational admitted students to Harvard?
Yeah. So admitted students to Harvard, they're all first generation,
She was
low income.
she was asked to speak, and I was fortunate enough to, sit in the back of the room, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get to watch her, like, in her element." And she was talking about public narrative, and honestly, I'll link the book because this guy, Marshall,
Marshall Gons. Yeah.
he teaches give me everything.
Yeah, he's a professor at Harvard Kennedy School, but he's most known for being a really famous community organizer.
Mhm.
He worked with the United Farm Workers movement, which is like one of the most like effective movements
Yeah.
for labor rights. And he's the mastermind behind Obama's 2008 presidential campaign,
Yeah.
which, like, if you know anything about presidential campaigns, like that campaign brought so many people that have differing beliefs and different backgrounds together,
Yeah.
around this idea of hope. So he really knows how to mobilize people
Mhm.
towards something.
And he has this concept
Yeah.
of
It's called public narrative.
narrative.
Yeah.
No, I was literally taking notes because I'm like, this is the most interesting. But the thing why I was taking notes and why it spoke so much to me is because, and she's going, to read almost the assignment that she was giving the kids and that he speaks about, but it's like your story of self, like your story allows to build community and to connect and to go deep and to go vulnerable, which to me, this is my dream and my hope for this podcast of having conversations about anything, everything. We are more connected, we can be seen, and this is just such a I love, this kind of I don't know, platform, or you would say a model.
Yeah, it
a
is,
model
yeah.
of like how you can be open like that. So now I leave you with Anabella's story of self.
Walking onto the University of Miami's campus was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. Walking through the long walkway arched with palm trees with a small bag that carried all of my dreams and my parents' dreams. And I felt so alone because my best friend Maciel was supposed to enroll at with me, but she had recently been denied her green card and issued an order of deportation. And standing in that archway of palm trees, I was transported back to July 16th, the day of our one-way flight landed at Miami International Airport. My dad carried our suitcase with all of our dreams and our hopes, but also with the pain of having left Venezuela, having left las gaitas en Navidad, las hallacas, nuestras arepas, nuestro acento y nuestras playas. This was not the first time I felt lost amongst the palm trees. I felt paralyzed. Who do I turn to for help? And then I remembered Mrs. Espada, my 5th grade teacher, who made space in our small classroom for all of us to be ourselves and to bring our cultures, to relish in our music and in our dancing. And as I feel lost in that campus map within the palm trees every day like the last, slowly assimilating, letting my light dwindle and my voice quiet down, I meet Michelle Gonzalez Maldonado, who, with her Cuban accent, her colorful dresses, and a syllabus packed with Latino scholars, like Mrs. Espada before her, made space for me and my voice in her classroom. And that is why today I always seek to create spaces for students to be themselves at Harvard and beyond. I always try to make new campus maps that actually support immigrant and first-generation students to thrive while being themselves. But this is not just my story, it's also our story. As Latinos navigating higher education, so many of us have felt that same mix of awe and fear, of pride and invisibility. And we have all known what it is to walk onto a campus and feel the weight of our family's sacrifices and expectations while also feeling that we don't quite belong and that we don't know what we don't know. We share the experiences of translating not just language, but systems, financial aid forms, office hours, unspoken rules about how things work in college. And many of us were the first in our familias to step into these spaces, carrying our parents' dreams in one hand and our own doubts in the other. And yet we also share the power of comunidad, of teachers, mentors, tias, classmates, and colleagues who made room for our accents, our food, our music, our questions, and our unique leadership ability. As Latino educators and as the first in our families, we are now called to be that guide for the students we serve, to be the ones who say you belong here, and then back it up with structures, practices, and spaces that prove that. Together, our stories and our trajectories can shape the future maps of higher education, maps that are always being revised, always adapting our practice to fit student needs, and always centering their voices so that they can move through these campuses not as guests, but as authors of their own journeys.
My sis, that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
Thank you for giving me the platform to share it.
Thank you for being here and for going beyond polite.